Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Fedmail. Good to see you on this Friday afternoon. Hope you are doing well. Of course, the big news, and our hearts are heavy from it, was the terror attack, the shooting in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday evening after an AJC Access event. That's a group of young leaders from around the world who gather and meet with diplomats in Washington, D.C. I've actually attended that conference on a few occasions, and I've traveled to Israel with that group. Certainly hits close to home, not only because of that, but because we regularly, all of us, attend Jewish events like this, and to have it targeted is quite scary. One of the reasons why we take security so seriously and prioritize it, and I want to give a special thanks again to Mark Scheer, who has made a point of emphasizing the importance of security locally and has done a great job helping to build out the security infrastructure of this community. I hope that as members of our local Jewish community, you will encourage the institutions and organizations you belong to take security seriously. We all should be. Also, over the last 19 months, dating back to the October 7th attack, Jewish Federation has talked very seriously about concerns related to rhetoric about Israel, using exaggerated, propagandized rhetoric is very harmful. It's dangerous and has created a really dark situation out there. And that's something we have warned about, whether it's at Worcester City Hall, where there were counselors who engaged in the spreading of propaganda, or on local college campuses all the way up through the federal government. And this includes also celebrities and, quite frankly, anyone with a public platform. This is a good time to remind everyone that we demand that people are responsible with their language, and they should be, and they should have been earlier on. But this is the time to speak out again, to say that. And if you have an elected official representing you who is engaging in the spreading of propaganda, you need to speak up. Jewish Federation certainly will, and you should too. And we plan to reach out to those who we feel need to hear it, just as we have, again, for the last 19 months. Also, with that in mind, next week marks 600 days since October 7th, and we plan to do something as a community and make sure that that message and that date is not forgotten. A lot went on in the world, obviously, this week. In addition to that shooting, the IDF began a major operation to take and hold ground in Gaza. That also included a new humanitarian aid and distribution framework. In the beginning of March, Israel halted the importing of humanitarian aid into Gaza and hopes to draw down the Hamas piles. Hamas, of course, had controlled all of the aid in Gaza, all of the food essentially, and used it to maintain their grip on power, both in terms of hoarding the aid for their own soldiers and then selling it to the civilians, again, to war profiteering and in an effort to hold power. Israel wanted to make sure that going forward, Hamas couldn't get a hand on the aid, and this new operation and framework, it is hoped, will eliminate Hamas's control over the aid. So we'll see where things go from there. But the international community, including the United States, was growing vocal and in their concern for the humanitarian situation in Gaza. There was also a major misprint talking about the number of children who would be affected by starving. And initially, it was announced that it would be 14,000 within 48 hours, and then that story was retracted, as has been the case too often as it relates to Israel and operations in Gaza. Misinformation comes out first, it spreads around very rapidly, and then is retracted quietly later on. And this was similar in a lot of ways to that. Negotiations had been taking place in Doha, in Qatar. The Israeli delegation was recalled, brought back to Israel after Hamas had again refused to sign on to the new proposal that's on the table. It's the U.S. proposal, which would call for a 45 to 60-day ceasefire, which would also be used as a springboard for ending the war. Hamas wants greater guarantees that the war will restart, and some other pieces. Essentially, it appears that they're just dragging their feet on it. Also, Hamas had expressed frustration that the release of Idan Alexander recently was didn't give them more negotiating power and leverage. Also, it was announced formally that Mohammed Sinwar was killed in IDF operation. He is the brother of Yahya Sinwar, basically the leader of Hamas in Gaza. So that's a major success in terms of taking out Hamas leadership, again, which is something that Israel's been quite successful with. Also this week, there was another ballistic missile launched by the Houthis into central Israel. So sirens blared. People had to take cover again this week, and Israel, I think, had an operation to hit back at them as well. Iran is also showing intransigence in terms of their nuclear program and in their negotiations, saying that they will not give up the ability to enrich uranium, which is very concerning. We know that President Trump had mentioned that they're going to give that up either through peaceful means or they're going to be hit militarily. I also had seen that the news had released a message or a report that Israel was ready to strike Iran if these negotiations failed. So we'll see where things go with that. Locally, last week on Sunday, we had a great community program honoring the Rudnick families and the Honig family for their support of Israel. This was the Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut program, and Mayan, our shlicha, did a beautiful job putting together a meaningful and dignified program. Sylvia was awesome at catering, and we even had the ambulance on site that our community, and a number of community members put money forward for this, or donated money for it, for an ambulance to Mega David Dome, and the fact that that was on site was really cool too. A lot of people enjoyed seeing that. And it's probably in transit to Israel as we speak. So that's really cool also. I want to let you know that a pre-Shavuot luncheon is coming up on the 28th. That's this week. And then we've got we've got Shavuot coming up. We've had a lot of holidays in recent months. So calendar has been full, and it's been great seeing you guys at all of our community events. With that said, I just want to again stress the fact that next week is the 600th day since the October 7th attack, and there are still 58 hostages remaining in Gaza, 21 of whom are believed to be alive. I can only imagine the condition they're being held in. We've got to work to get them back and to disarm and remove Hamas from power in Gaza, and that, of course, has not been easy. Proven to be quite a challenge. So let's hope for success in that realm, and for peace all around, and for the good guys to prevail. So wishing you a good Shabbos, and hey, happy Memorial Day weekend. Remember those who fell in line of duty protecting our great, unique, very special country. God bless America. Shabbat Shalom. God bless Israel. Bye-bye.